to do it is a real
Well, you have
art.
to do your own work. Excuse my language, but I mean, you have to do your own work, and everyone's navigating the world thinking everyone else is responsible for how they're feeling.
Right.
I have to be in control, and I have to self-regulate, and I have to do my own personal work to make sure I'm not putting my shit on you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And in a collaboration context or a strategic planning retreat or in a work team context, it's the same thing. If people aren't willing to take responsibility for their own emotional management or work or growth, well, then they're going to project it on others because they're going to be putting the responsibility on others to make them happy. And I think that's a big piece, right?
Yeah.
And through social media, everyone's trying to have their happiness supplied by someone else, right? Well, your happiness is going to come from within, doing your own work, not because someone's going to do it for you.
Hey everybody, welcome to Richard Fortin Presents, where we talk today to Yves Doyon. He's the founder of Doyon Plus. He's operating a boutique consultancy that deals with design thinking. And if you're wondering what that is, essentially it's the strategic approach to problem solving. If the definition of design is solving a problem, then the definition of strategic design is solving the right problem. And for any organization, any businessman, any not-for-profit, it's really important that we solve the right problem. Without further ado, here's my conversation with Yves Doyon, the founder of Doyon Plus and a great friend of mine. Here we go. Yves Doyon, thank you for coming here.
Richard Fortin, my pleasure.
We've been working together for a little while now, and I wanted to bring...
And we've known each other for a long time.
And we've known each other since I was in high school.
Oh, shit. Don't say that.
Christ. Yeah. I'm now 43 years old.
Don't say that.
And I feel great.
Perfect.
That's the story I'm sticking to.
And I'm drinking old guy mushroom coffee.
Nice. Beautiful.
Perfect.
Yves, I brought you on board to help me rebrand, repurpose, figure out value propositions, really flesh out my idea. Flesh out or flesh out?
Probably a bit of both.
I'm flushing some ideas.
Probably a bit of both, a bit of everything.
And it's been a lot of fun working together. Tell me about...
No, it goes both ways, right?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Just for the record.
I appreciate that. For people who might not know you and what you do at Doyon Plus, could we just give them a little synopsis real quick of what your company does and what you're doing as a consultant? And then we'll talk about how we're working together and the things that we want to talk about.
Well, that's a great test because I'm not used to talking about what I do because my focus is helping clients structure their own ideas, just like we're doing together. So I rarely talk about my list of services and so on and so on. But essentially, my job is to support people in structuring their ideas, making sure they understand who they're trying to serve as clients or client segments or whatever, and just learn to name things. You know, those ideas usually flow, all over the place for individuals and with groups. I work with boards of directors and not-for-profits and businesses too, but it's just a matter of having those ideas structured, land, so those ideas can become a compass so that action can be the answer to what that compass is guiding.
Yeah.
Essentially. I mean, so, whether we're working with, clients like the Crisis Center in North Bay or RFP Media or, childcare services all over the province, it's pretty much always the same process. Sometimes it'll start with governance. Other times it's strategic planning. Other times it's just facilitating. I'm working with a lot of First Nations groups just trying to self-determine their own governance right now. So that gives you a bit of an idea.
Yeah, that's really interesting. How do you measure success for yourself? What for you is a successful day?
Successful day is trying to move the needle. That's how I'm going to say it in a very, very simple way. If something has changed because of the work I've done or that I've helped someone do, that is really really good for me. In other words, if my clients are shining and being productive and effective and efficient at what they're trying to do, and they're aligned with their goals, and the action is all over the place, at least there's some kind of focus brought from the work we've done together, well, then I think I'm doing a good job. And just seeing people shine.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own spirit, their own purpose, their own vision, their own mandate.
And probably ways of working and habits and abilities. Because
well, exactly,
like
totally
like
different.
Me, I might have good intentions, but when it comes to doing my homework and making
I
sure
think we're
that
all
it's all
like
done.
that, just for the record.
Right. So is that one of the biggest challenge that you're confronted with when you're trying to help people articulate their value?
I wouldn't call it a challenge. I think it's just a consideration. I think it's a guiding principle. You got to start from the expert in the room. So if I'm working with you, you're the expert in the room. You're the expert of your own context. You know what you're trying to do. You own your vision. You understand the people you're trying to serve. So my job is to answer to that, not tell you, what to do. Yeah. Consultants by definition will consult. I facilitate. I'd rather start from where you are, understand and help you define things, and then start designing whatever solution it is. Either it's a framework, either it's a marketing direction, whatever. That sounds like consultant talk, but I mean, it's never the same. Yeah. I also work with a lot of groups just to help them systemize their collaboration. Yeah. A lot of people say, yeah, we collaborate, but then once you start digging, not many people know how to collaborate so that it's conducive to or aligned with the vision, the purpose, or the objectives they have, right? Yeah.
So how'd you get into this? What's your story? How did it started years ago? You've been doing this for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, I finished high school almost a semester early before all my friends, and I started doing a lot of contract work, a lot of facilitation, leadership workshop, and stuff like that. And slowly but surely over the years, I'm 52. I've been doing it for almost
a little bit,
4 years,
Yeah.
So, it's been a little while, and it's been iterative. Early on, I was artistic director of the Northern Lights Festival. I was a musician for years, So that, other than studying communications and languages, the music industry was my real schooling. I had to become an artist entrepreneur. Logistics, event management, communications, grants, funding.
People management, band management.
People management, band management. But don't get me started. I hope the guys are listening. They used to call me dad. That says a lot, in the band.
But isn't building an organization just like building a band? Like when you think about
it's the same thing.
I'm looking over here at Adam behind the camera here, trying to figure things out, trying to figure out what I'm trying to get.
Yeah, because no one knows really what they're doing. It's just like life. We're just figuring it out as we go along. So, there's some guiding principles behind that. Okay, I'm going to test shit out and see what works, and then whatever does, I'm going to run with, and whatever doesn't, I'm just going to leave it aside. Yeah. Or sort of click and drag it in another virtual folder or mental folder and bring it back when I need stuff. Yeah. So did a lot of event management early on, 5-6 employees, and I was doing a lot of consulting or facilitating work through it all. Yeah. And it just evolved. So now I'm the solo operation, and I'm really enjoying it because it gives me the flexibility, agility, either to hire subcontractors when I need, or just to focus on the actual work with the clients, as opposed to managing a team to do it. Yeah. Right. Because I really enjoy like the stuff we've been doing like hands-on with you. Yeah. Is where I like to.
So where do you see yourself going? Is that where do you want to go in the next 5 years?
That's a really good question, because I'm used to asking those questions to others, but answering them myself is a whole other thing, right? Yeah. I don't know structure-wise necessarily, but I will say what I'd like to be doing in the next, let's say, 10 years.
Be audacious. I want to
be audacious. I just want to work on systemic challenges. We just came out of a pandemic. We're up shit creek on so many social issues, so many economic issues. I just want to be working with clients where it moves the needle. I'm coming back to that term. Yeah. what's going to change, not check a box and say we did a job, and then take your check, go home. But I'll give an example. Like I'm working with childcare providers all over the province right now, especially on the Francophone side. Excuse me. And the systemic challenge there is that childcare and child education is not valued by government, by funders, by politicians. It's seen as, gardiennage. It's seen as, oh yeah, we're just going to take care of your kid, not educate early childhood, right? And people aren't paid adequately. Those are huge jobs. It's the starting point for the whole education cycle. It doesn't start in school. It starts way before. So it's formative years. So the needle is, okay, how can we value child educators? Pay them well, give them right working condition, and link them up to the rest of the whole education system, and get families on the workforce, and make sure that families know that their kids are having those skills developed, and that emotional intelligence developed, and they're safe, and so on and so on. So I mean, that's a big piece, right?
How willing are the people you work with, or even yourself, to do that, to take the risk, to try something, to fail in public? Is that something that you sense in organizations right away? Is that something that surprised you?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in the last 5-6 years, when I've sort of gravitated towards design thinking and open innovation. I've had to learn how to not qualify in the bad sense, but test, go and verify the level of flexibility or agility or openness of clients. Yeah, because it's human nature to want to go towards something familiar. There's a sense of maybe false or real security or safety to what we know.
So are people able to change? What catalyzes a change? This is something I'm trying to figure out on a personal level, because what does make us change, other than pain, other than being at rock bottom?
That signal is really useful, but people tend to sort of contourner. They just want to deviate. They want to go around those signals that give us, the messages to adjust, and or that give us a message.
So what's the thing that makes some people have the ability to hear those messages?
Yeah.
And others, we really have to hit rock bottom. I'm asking this myself every day. Why is change so difficult?
Yeah.
Because you're a change agent, right? Isn't that one of your things? Or how would you?
I try to, and I've been gravitating towards clients who are curious, like you.
Yeah.
By nature, you're curious. That's the whole basis of your podcast, right?
And it killed the cat.
And yeah, of course.
I paid for that.
Yeah. But at the same time,
audacious,
at the same time, it's what's going to distinguish people, because from curiosity comes truth. And if people aren't willing to seek truth, well, nothing's going to change. So if you're a truth seeker, it doesn't mean the truth is going to be nice to see all the time. So on a personal development or on organizational development, from a strategic perspective, if you're trying to adapt your business direction, I mean, usually the starting point for a business owner and entrepreneur is what they want to do. But if they start taking a design approach to things, and then they put themselves in the shoes of the people they want to serve, like from an empathy and understanding perspective, they might figure out really quickly that what they want doesn't align with what people really need.
Yeah.
So you have to be open. You have to be predisposed to pivoting. Any business who's willing and able to pivot regularly, or be iterative in their way of delivering stuff or testing things, is going to be durable, is going to be long lasting. If you're stuck in what you want and that's it, well,
Don't you find our world is becoming more and more like that though? Like we
In
talk
absolutes,
about truth.
in absolutes, absolutely.
And
Black
the
or
truth
white,
is what you
absolutes
believe.
and truth.
Like
Yeah.
Donald Trump's social network's called Truth, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe you're a Trumper, maybe I'm a Trumper, but no, you laugh, but there's a lot of people out there who believe that he is a voice of standing up to authority. There's other people who see him the complete opposite. So how in our world today, where everybody seems more and more polarized, but both are holding their truth, like both are saying,
well, truth and opinion are two different things.
Okay.
If you ask me.
Define the difference.
Your opinion is your perspective, your perception of something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, truth is factual. So, and in social media, in a social media era, it's really hard to figure it out.
And we're not coming out of that era. We're going more and more into it. Yeah. So it's more and more difficult to figure out. Like I had a good friend of mine explain to me why the earth was flat. Yeah. And this is somebody who I don't consider an idiot. Yeah. You know, like when we talk and now, but over the course of the last couple of years, he's really genuinely become a flat earther. Yeah. And then I go, okay, like, so I listen, I'm open to that idea. I mean, I don't want to shut somebody down because they're,
it's really interesting.
They're coming up with this, or they're not coming up with this, but then he's spitting out facts. Oh, well, do you know this? Do you know that? Do you know this? And I'm sitting here listening to it, and he says, you know, most people I can't talk about this because they start getting really upset. And I wasn't demonstrating an upset. My composure wasn't upset because I was just trying to listen to somebody who had obviously a different paradigm on the world based on truths he was seeking. He was saying that it's because of COVID and the different deceptions he felt that were so glaringly obvious by the man that made him go down these rabbit holes. And then you go down those rabbit holes. Now the world is flat. So how do you manage that? Like, how do we, as people who are trying to bring to collaborate, I'm into collaboration, I'm into shared workspace. How do we share more resources? Not by being more divided. I think that we actually get through this.
Well, it's from an empathy perspective. If you ask me, there's no empathy anymore. Everyone's an influencer, which means no one's listening to anyone.
Yeah.
You know, everyone. That's why the workforce, I think, is disintegrating, because everyone's at home wanting or thinking they can become an influencer, but it means people will stop learning. They just want to be the truth, not discover the truth, but be the truth. I think there's a big difference there. I'm not sure there's a lot of curiosity, or people are coming from a place of wanting to discover, wanting to learn, wanting to not know, or accepting to not know.
Yeah. So that's why, you know, that's why we do this. That's why I'm trying to create a podcast.
Thing. Yeah.
Richard Fortin
Bring your flat
Presents.
earther friend in, man. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting conversation for sure.
Yeah, well, sometimes I don't even know what to say, because they pull out also. I mean, we'll have that conversation, I guess, when we have it. It's just a matter of time. But at the end of the day, this is a conscious attempt to see if I can manage to have a conversation, a healthy conversation, with somebody that I might not agree with.
Your guiding principles are going to be key to that, you know?
So what would be the guiding principles to help people who disagree sit together and listen to each other, in your opinion?
Just empathy. Empathy and compassion, for starters. Curiosity. I think just wanting to learn, not be an absolute.
Do you have any role models for those types of behaviors in our world today?
It's hard to find. It's really hard to find. I mean, everyone's got a bit of everything, right? But I'm curious myself too. And, you know, like, my opinion can be changed on a lot of things.
What has your opinion changed on in the last year? I'd like to know one thing that you've actually changed your opinion on, just out there. Is there anything you could think of?
My opinion or belief, is that trying to please people doesn't work.
Okay.
It's from more of a personal level, but even with clients,
Yeah.
I think empathy and reciprocity are key, and taking on your own responsibility for things. People want to be influencers, people want to have an opinion, but who's willing to take responsibility for what they're at? And there's no action. So are people going to be responsible for their actions? So I don't know. Like I'm
Are people
jumping from one thing to the next, but
it's a great idea. The ability to respond is
respond
also,
instead of react, and persuade instead of convincing or defending. I can persuade you to want to work with me, not necessarily try and sell. And that's going to come from a mutual understanding, and we're going to figure out, are we a fit or not to collaborate?
Yeah.
There's a difference there compared to me trying to sell and market to you and try to convince you that I have value. The value is going to come from what we do together. But where we have to go, I think, is to test each other's guiding principles. Talk about behaviors. What's the right behavior, collective behavior we need to have to make this happen?
Yeah.
But we rarely talk about that. And when, from experience, business-wise, collaboration-wise, 99% of the time when the shit hits the fan, it's not a lack of planning. It's not a lack of rigorous work or being strategic. It's behavioral. When the shit hits the fan, it's because people are shitty to each other and they let go of those guiding principles or they don't know what their moral compass is. They don't care for each other. There's no empathy, compassion. There's no reciprocity. They're not listening, and they just don't care about the other with detachment, with non-attachment at the same time. I'm not responsible for you. You're not responsible for me. But if I can contribute to, and we've talked about this before, if I can contribute to you reaching your goals or you being content or at peace because of who I am and how I behave with you, good, but I'm not responsible for it. And it's the same thing when you collaborate business-wise within a group.
Yeah. Have you ever felt attacked?
Oh, shit, yeah.
So how do we not take it personally if we feel all of a sudden we're misunderstood?
Well, I think that's where the detachment and non-attachment comes from.
Yeah.
If someone's attacking, that means there's a deep unhappiness or a fear.
Yeah.
From an emotional intelligence piece, and we've talked about this before, we talk about how people are feeling all the time, but we rarely talk about what emotion goes with how they're feeling, with what need goes with their feeling. So if you're feeling happy about something or at peace with something, it's because it's answering a need. If you're not, if you're frustrated, you're angry or whatever, and because of what's happening with us, it's because there's a need not being answered, creating that negative emotion. And in organizational development and collaboration, it's the same thing. Well, I don't feel safe. I don't feel this. Okay, well, tell me what you need to feel safe. I feel attacked. Okay, well, you feel attacked. Why? The reasons for that can belong to you, or they can be factual or action driven because of something that's happening.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if we're able to, in my work, if I'm able to guide the people I work with to name how they feel about stuff, but also dig a little deeper and say, okay, if you're not feeling comfortable with this, what do you need? What's the need linked to that feeling?
Yeah.
I can respond to a need. I can't respond to an emotion.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling attacked by you, I can't respond to that and have it be constructive or productive. But if you say, Yves, I need this from you, or I need this in this situation, or I'm not feeling heard, that's my need. I need to be heard. Well, then I can respond and be more attentive. Right? And or detach and or dig or ask more questions or whatever. So it's a little abstract, philosophical, but I think that's the emotional intelligence that's just totally sliding socially.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's easy to not easy because you've articulated it so well, but to do it is a real
Well, you have to
art.
do your own
You have
fucking
to
work.
do
Excuse
your
my
own work.
language,
Yeah.
but I mean, you have
Yeah.
to do your own work, and everyone's navigating the world,
responsibility.
thinking everyone else is responsible for how they're feeling.
Right.
I have to be in control, and I have to self-regulate, and I have to do my own personal work to make sure I'm not putting my shit on you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And in a collaboration context or a strategic planning retreat or in a work team context, it's the same thing. If people aren't willing to take responsibility for their own emotional management or work or growth, well, then they're going to project it on others because they're going to be putting the responsibility on others to make them happy. And I think that's a big piece, right?
Yeah.
And through social media, everyone's trying to have their happiness supplied by someone else, right? Well, your happiness is going to come from within, doing your own work, not because someone's going to do it for you.
Well, one of the reasons I was so excited to work with you, having known you for a little bit, of course, personally, was that I was seeking accountability because I knew the work I was trying to do was very important for the next, I've survived the first 5 years of my company getting started. Now I feel I really need to pivot and focus and concentrate in order to better communicate, in order to get the clients I really want, knowing what I've learned in the last 5 years, but being able to articulate that vision so that we can get there.
That's such a big piece, that accountability piece. And I think, to get back to the emotion and the need, that probably comes from being isolated. By definition, being an entrepreneur, you're alone. You're carrying a lot. I work with a lot of executive directors for a lot of organizations, and by design, that's very isolating too. You're between your clients, your staff, your team, your funders, your board of directors, and it's the same thing for business. You're in between your team, your clients, your partners in the community, and everyone else's expectations.
Yeah.
So when we navigate things alone, who are we accountable to and how?
Yeah.
So
and
who can we that is really wise. And I feel the same thing for myself. It's very isolating.
Yeah. Yeah. But we need it because we need the sounding board. We need somebody safe or people who are safe in order to...
That's the behavioral piece.
To figure out our, if we're hitting the target or not.
Yeah.
And you've actually really been helpful with that. And sometimes I think there's a little magic to it, meaning like if we open ourselves to it, it comes in.
We're fucking channeling. If you're open to channeling.
Right. So...
Or vibrating.
So you've helped
vibrating,
me.
Buddy.
Yeah. Your vibe has helped me at times, at key moments when you've checked in with me.
Yeah.
Kind of reassess just by nature of who you are.
Yeah. And that's the empathy and understanding piece.
There's the listening part.
It's listening and hearing, and it's being attentive and watching and observing and listening, Yeah. Empathy is understanding what someone's going through. It doesn't mean feeling it with them. That's compassion. I feel very compassionate, like I'm going to be sad with you. Empathy is just recognizing and being able to hold space with someone,
Yeah.
Or I'm going to try and put myself in your shoes so that I can understand what your experience is so that I can then contribute in the right, appropriate way.
Right.
And detached and non-attached and, all those things we've talked about.
Right.
To be able to be present in a healthy way for you.
Totally. Now, I don't know how you feel about the word coaching, the word mentor, the word guide. Like a lot of what you've done has been sort of versions of that for me. Is that something in your business that you're looking to do more of, that you're interested in?
I call it accompaniment. Accompagnement. It doesn't translate very well, but accompagnement. It just means that...
Yeah, it's an accompaniment works.
Yeah. It's not hand-holding. It's not a dependency. It's just moving in parallel with someone and being that accountability.
So who do you choose to be in parallel with? What is your ideal client dash accompanier look like? If they're out there and they're listening to this and they hear, oh, you know what? I could use some perspective.
Yeah.
I like the way this Yves guy thinks.
Yeah.
and I'd like him to help me get to the next level. What is that person, when do they contact you? What are they looking at for that process? Or is it completely customized on whoever
it
shows
has
up?
to be adaptable. It has to be adapted to the need. Often, clients will wait to know or know what they need before asking for it. And sometimes I think just that the genesis of knowing we need help sometimes is we don't even know what we need. We just know that we need to be either accountable to someone, or we just need to talk to someone, or we just need to have someone reflect what we're doing without understanding what the need is. And that's in design. It starts with empathy and understanding. Then we start defining intentions. Then from those intentions, we start exploring ideas and prototyping solutions. But you can't skip a step, right? Sometimes clients will say, I need this. Okay, that's fine. Others will say, I don't know what's happening, but I just know I need. Can we sort of do the scan? Can we assess together and figure it out? And then I can choose what I'm willing and able to act on. So it's a cycle. It's a design cycle. So some clients are going to come in at the prototype place because they need help to structure that prototyping or design or idea exploration. Others, it's because they need to understand their environment more. Others, it's because they need to test their ideas in real context with their clients and or in the community. So if you imagine a cycle, the entry point can be at different phases of that.
Yeah, very interesting.
And, if we look at what we've done together, it was right at the end of the empathy and understanding and defining. You're wanting to define stuff, and then we started prototyping.
Yeah.
Not in the testing phase, that's where the zone of influence you were willing to explore was. For others, it's something else.
As an entrepreneur working mostly on your own, right? Like driven, self-driven.
Yeah.
What helps you stay sane? What helps you stay grounded? What helps you be healthy? Because you need to be healthy. Ultimately, your mind, your body is your product. Is
I need to move. I really need to move. As you know, I'm an avid cyclist. Yeah. Not a good one, but I do it a lot.
You love it.
I'm not fast, but if I don't get that blood flowing and if I don't get some oxygen up there, man, like I like to say in French, just to sort le méchant, just get the demons out, you know? If not, I'm going to overthink stuff.
Yeah.
And sort of dig myself my own hole. Because the blood's not flowing, right?
So physical exercise, number one.
Physical exercise and stopping. As I get older, I'm learning to stop. I've changed my routine. I don't get up and go right away in the morning.
Yeah.
I really take the time to. I'm channeling into the energy of ease, which is a big learning curve for me.
Yeah. It's not how hard you work.
Well,
it's
that's my belief. That's one of the beliefs
I'm
I'm trying to, sort of untangle. Going, if I don't work hard, nothing good's going to happen for me. And just channeling into that energy of ease and allowing things to come to me as opposed to having to carry it all.
Beautiful.
Right? But it's a lifelong learning or unlearning process.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things, one of those lessons that I've had to sort of.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It's a big piece because all of a sudden, you're channeling into something else and all of a sudden I'm able to start asking for help or naming what I need at the same time, as opposed to being the supplier, a contributor to others. And it's a different lens. That's huge.
Yeah.
It's not always comfortable, but I'm learning. When I grow up, I'll have it figured out.
Okay, let's end the interview like that.
Yeah.
When you grow up, project yourself into the future. Let's make it decide, even if we don't share this part of the interview.
Yeah.
I would love for you to make a bold statement about where you see yourself in the medium to long-term future.
Yeah.
Relative to where you are now. I know this is uncomfortable.
No.
I'm asking you to, but
without
But
thinking about it.
I would love
intuitively.
to, yeah, I'd love to you to dream big right now, but record it. It's recorded.
Yeah.
So we're going to look back on it and we're going to laugh possibly because you're probably going to get there.
Yeah.
But I would like to make a bold claim right now. I'd like you to make a bold claim on where you see yourself with ease getting in the medium to long term. What could that look like for Yves Doyon Plus?
Yeah. I'd like to document and archive everything I've produced already so that it's useful and I'm able to multiply it, you know, either online or to generate residuals so that I can go and choose my mandates a lot better.
Yeah.
I'd like to be a floater in companies or in sectors.
Yeah.
Because I think the value is in that as opposed to, you know, framed mandates with a beginning and an end. I'd like to
almost be like a problem solver, like a fixer.
I'd also like to, I would love, my dream job is just to have funds to create an open innovations, a social innovation center where we can have problems or challenges or questions land in that social innovation center and then just engage the right people, put them around a virtual or real table or circle and say, okay, how might we address this together and be the guide in all that, no matter what the question is, because I'm just fucking curious.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And make sure that there's reinvestment in those questions just to keep things flowing. Because I feel everything is just stopped and static and in the absolute, and no one's, to get back to what you mentioned earlier, no one's allowing themselves to just play in the muck and test stuff.
Because you have to be willing to fail.
You have to be willing to fail, and we only learn when we fail, not when we're successful. Everyone's talking about success.
Yeah.
But success to me is learning a lesson and going, okay, I won't do that this way, that way anymore. I'm closer to the right solution.
Well,
not a solution, but the right solution.
Yeah. Well, I've failed a lot.
So have I.
I feel like you just have to be, it really is those that persevere. It really is. And you do learn in the failure. I hope I'm learning. God, I hope I'm learning. But what I would like to say is my bold statement is I'd like to help you do that. I'd like to help you articulate, find the voice, create the skill set here with Adam that allows us
Success to me is just working with people who want to do the same thing.
And move the needle. Move the needle. Help people.
Exactly. And have the resources gravitate to us so that we can keep moving the needle on different questions.
That's right.
That's success to me. Exactly.
Thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate you sharing some of the ideas that you're on. And I really want to stress to anybody who's considering bringing somebody on to give them perspective, to accompany them in their growth process, that working with Yves has been really, really a game changer for me. It's a step I knew I needed to take. It took a little while to get started, but now we're started. We're in the process. And this is an example of the willingness to try, to test. Like the cameras aren't working, everything's, it's not that they're not working, they're working, but we're iterating for the first time. Adam, thank you for helping me move this along. And thanks for coming in and being willing to try. It means a lot. It means a lot to me. And I have a lot of respect for what you are,
buddy.
Yeah.
Let's contribute.
Let's go do it. Let's have fun. Everybody, we're getting it back going. Richard Fortin Presents, some edition here that we're going to put out sometime, someday, hopefully. See you soon.